So I'm counting down the top 50 games of 2020. These are only games that I've played, so if I haven't played it, you're like, hey, why is this game on the list? More than likely it's because I haven't played it or haven't played it yet. It's always interesting to go back 3, 4, 5 years from now and look at my list and see what is here. Also, there's a little caveat that I may not like a game as much, or may like it, may not have played it enough to get it up to where I want, and I may not enjoy it as much as somebody else, and that's okay too. This is just my list. Now, is there a big difference between number 4 and number 8? Probably not. And these things could change on any given day. But let's go ahead and jump into the list and take a look at what we have. Number 50 is King of Tokyo Dark Edition. Now, I really like King of Tokyo. Now, if this was an edition that was only released this year, this would be much higher on the list, right? King of Tokyo is really good, but I kind of brought it down because really this is just a reskin of a game. There's a little bit of a new mechanism that's included in it, but for all intents and purposes, this is just a redesign. And this is something I only added to the list because I didn't quite have 50, and I wanted to add it, so go ahead and throw it at the bottom. Because I do like King of Tokyo. I do like the game. There's a little twist to the game, but is it enough that this is really a 2020 game? Probably not, but it does round out the list. And if you're looking at getting this or the other one, there is a little bit different mechanisms in this one, so it may lead you down this path. So, number 50, King of Tokyo Dark Edition. Number 49 is Pandemic Hot Zone. Once again, we find another, really, re-theme, but this is Pandemic smaller. So instead of 4 cubes, there's 3 different cubes. And the map is just North America instead of the world. And everything is just kind of condensed down. It's a pretty good travel edition. For all intents and purposes, it's the same Pandemic game. Not a whole lot of differences going on, if any, other than the fact that there's less of it at a cheaper price and set in North America. If that sounds interesting to you, but it was really hard for me to put this higher on the list because it really is just Pandemic, which was released a decade ago or whatever. So it'll find itself at 49. 48 on this list is Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, and it has the same problem as the other 2 games I've already listed. It's really a game that was released 10, 15 years ago, and it's been condensed down. Already, this is the 3rd version of the condensed down. It's a little bit different with the little carts that are around the board, and they kind of give you a different way to score with set collection. It's an interesting variant more. I don't know if it's a real game, but I did need some games to round out this list. So, Ticket to Ride Amsterdam is something if you want to play Ticket to Ride and quicker. It's probably not the best of the 3 that's been released, but it's a fun experience, especially if you're kind of collecting these small boxes. You'll want to pick this one up for sure. Number 47 is Grindhouse. Now, anybody who watches this channel knows that I like horror-themed games, and I like anything with that horror theme attached to it. Grindhouse absolutely does that. It's also one of the most iffy type of games. This game is very, very random. There's not a lot of control in this game, and you kind of go through, and it just kind of tells a story, I suppose, and you're kind of putting the pieces in with your mind. It's fine if you want something a little bit random, if you want something that you don't have to make a lot of decisions, playing on Halloween, or people with maybe are non-gamers, and you just kind of want to go through the motions, maybe have a discussion while you're talking, haha, there's some horror theme here, but not much game. And I gotta be honest, if it had any other theme attached to it, I probably don't even know I would put it on the list, but I do like the horror theme. There's not a lot of good horror-themed games. There's not a lot of horror-themed games in general. So, here we sit with Grindhouse. Number 46 is Movie Empire. Now, this is a game I was really excited about. I went on Kickstarter, and I kickstarted this and got all in. And I loved the movie-making theme, and it was just a game that didn't work quite well for me. It just felt a little off. And the whole thing was like you didn't want to maximize your production, and it's what you wanted to do, and it felt like you were inclined to not do that. A little bit of luck on what was coming out. It was just a package that didn't work that well for me. Now, it does have a pretty good solo experience that I liked quite a bit, and as a package, it didn't work. As a game, it was okay. Mediocre at best, but I felt like the theme kind of propelled it up just a little bit. It's definitely going to beat these games that I've already mentioned are just retreads of other games. In that respect, I mean, King of Tokyo is probably better than Movie Empire, no doubt about it, but for a true game that was released in 2020, Movie Empire would fit that bill. Probably something off the beaten path for you, maybe something you've never heard of, you might want to give it a chance for, but that's Movie Empire. Number 45 is Disney's Haunted Mansion. Now, I really like Disney games, I like the Disney theme. A lot of these games that are coming out are very well established and not just cash-ins, as you will, and Haunted Mansion does give you a little bit of a game. How you're collecting the ghost as you go around. A little bit of random, more of a family-light type of game. I usually do like those, and you'll see as we go on, there may be other games on the list that just a little bit higher. Haunted Mansion I felt like was a pretty good design. It's rather straightforward, not a lot of strategic decisions or different variables in order to win the game, I suppose. But if you like the idea of collecting ghosts from the Haunted Mansion ride, you're a fan of the Haunted Mansion ride, so it will be lifted up for you. I think it really works in that respect, and thank goodness it's not a retheme of Trouble, and just slap Haunted Mansion on it. This is something unique, something different, so it does get little props for that. Number 44 is Titanic, and this game was a huge surprise when I saw it on my shelf at Target. I was like, wow, Titanic game, and it's a legitimate game. So this isn't a cash-in, this isn't like a DVD type game. It's a real game as you're going around. And I've never really cared for these action points that you have. You have so many action points, you can move around. A little bit of luck involved about who you can move and stuff, and it's an okay game. Let me stress this, it's a legitimate game. As the wave goes up, brings a theme out with the Titanic theme as you're racing to the top. It's a little weird how some people are worth more than others. That's kind of a thing, and you get the goods out, and a little bit of a richer problem in the game. But it's a very solid game, one that I like. We're going to go ahead and keep this one and play it with the family because my wife likes Titanic the game quite a bit, or the movie, and I can keep this game coming out thematically. I think the IP pulls it up quite a bit. This game is probably going to have bigger fans than I would be just based on the mechanisms included in it, but Titanic, here it sits. Number 43 is Kingswood, and what this game is, it's a little like rondelle type game, very, very elementary, something you might play with children or lighter gamers. And it's going to be just an action selection where you're trying to get resources and spend those resources to get points and effect as you go into this rondelle. Very simple, very easy to teach. Probably a little too simple for me, I guess. This might be more something with the kids. If I had a different theme onto it, I think I would like it a little bit. It's a fun little experiment of going through where you don't actually own any of the pieces and you kind of can move anything as you want, just the best to your benefit. Very simple to teach, kind of in that Splendor realm, if you will. Kingswood was a surprise from Kickstarter. It's okay, and I think it's rightfully set in this spot on the list. Number 42 is Marvel Splendor. Now, here's a retheme again, right? I had a lot of those at the beginning of the end of this list, I guess you could say. And this one kind of rose up a little bit because my family really likes Marvel. Splendor is a fantastic game, and quite honestly, we played this game a lot, and a lot more than the games below it on the list. Now, some of those first ones like Ticket to Ride and Pandemic and The King of Tokyo, very, very good games. And games alone, this would be much higher on this list. Same thing with Marvel Splendor. I brought it down just a tad because it really is a retread. And I didn't want to go too high because I didn't want to go Splendor. How good is Splendor? Because that's a different year. Marvel Splendor, and this year, okay, I played Splendor a lot. Most people have. So how does this retheme affect it? And it's been very popular in my house. We ended up keeping Marvel Splendor over regular Splendor. It has a little bit of a twist to it with getting those Avenger icons in addition to what you're doing. And quite frankly, the IP just worked in our family. So Marvel Splendor was a little bit higher than the other retreads. Number 41, and the last one on this list, is Mysterium Park. Once again, we're looking at another retread. It's a simplified version of Mysterium. And I've seen that a lot this year, right? They're bringing out these bigger games that really weren't that big in general and making them smaller and more bite-sized. Now, Mysterium Park in some ways may be better than its big brother, and the jury's still out on which one I'm going to keep. I don't think I need both. Now, when I was kind of sold on Mysterium Park, I was sold on this as a different experience. I thought the game would be a little bit different, but it's really not. It's really the same game, just condensed down into a more streamlined version, and the more I'm leaning to it, this might be all that I need. I need to play some of the Mysterium Big Brother expansions and see if that adds anything in that I like. Otherwise, that may be pushed out to keep this streamlined version. I play this at parties. Mysterium is something I pull out a lot with people who don't play games, and I have a large number. Mysterium is a game I find myself going to quite a bit. Mysterium Park may bite that off for me and be all that I need. Time will tell that. Look for a future video. But for now, it's another kind of retread game, and this is where we sit with those. So that's 41 through 50 of the top games of 2020. One of the themes that we can definitely see is just an old game with a new theme, right? That's going on throughout this. Now, I wanted to do a round number of 50, so a lot of these may not have been in a list of the top games of 2020, but I wanted a big round number, so here they sit. And we'll bring a little bit of exposure to them. There's nothing to say. I mean, it's kind of hard to make a list of the best games and not include a new King of Tokyo or a new Splendor. So here they are. I did bring them down quite a bit because of they're just a retread, right? We've already been there, done that. If they're new to you, then they will pop right up. Or if the IP really speaks to you, like Marvel Splendor, I put a little bit higher because the Marvel thing really works with my family. But that's what we kind of see with these 10. So next time, we'll look at another top 10 games of 2020 and theoretically they will be better, or at least more favorites of ours. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps things out, and we just appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you.